Why would you choose someone who would just perpetuate who you are, for better, but also for worse? That's irrational. The answer, of course, is narcissism. Narcissism corrupts the mate selection process. Now, throughout human history, without any question, people chose intimate partners who did not resemble them, intimate partners who were the opposite of them. Poor people chose rich people. Rich people chose poor people. Stupid people chose intelligent people. Intelligent people chose less intelligent people. Young chose older people. Older people chose the young, etc., etc. Opposites complemented each other. Put two opposites together and you get a complete whole. Whole in the good sense, with the W. So, and this was a rational way for selecting mates. But this was at an age when narcissism was not the organizing principle of reality, when narcissism was not the determinant of identity, when narcissism did not inform our decisions and choices, predilections, proclivities, preferences, wishes, and dreams. Enter the modern age, more or less 100 years ago, and we started to be more and more narcissistic, as documented in studies by Twenge and Campbell and numerous others, Lisa Wade and so on. So we are much more narcissistic than our forefathers and ancestors, perhaps because we don't have to struggle for survival. We can be spoiled brats without bearing the consequences of entitlement and selfishness, while our ancestors couldn't. They were embedded in collective cultures which required teamwork, compromise, and consensus. Today, we atomized, each one to his own. We are self-sufficient and self-contained. We don't need really anyone else. Any alliance, any couple, any dyad, any collaboration requires a sacrifice. And many people are not willing to make this sacrifice anymore. About half, 40% plus of the adult population are no longer in any relationship or any committed relationship. We move around, we drift like so many water molecules in the ocean. We come across each other, we have casual sex, and we vanish, we exit each other's lives after one night, if we are lucky. This is the picture of the modern world. And in this modern world, as people become more and more narcissistic, they're likely to look for mirroring. They're likely to regard everyone else as an internal object, an extension of themselves. Now, if you were to team up with a spouse or an intimate partner, and that person would be the opposite of you, it would be a constant challenge. If you were to cohabit or share your life with someone who is not you, who is opposite to you, who is opposed to you, who contradicts you and disagrees with you and undermines your nascent grandiosity or your self-perception as perfect and ideal and godlike and so on and so forth, that is very uncomfortable. That is ego dystonic. So narcissism corrupts the mate selection process. Narcissism makes it impossible, absolutely impossible, to team up with someone who would undermine, challenge, countervail your sense of omnipotence and omniscience and perfection and being ideal. On the very contrary, you would look for a partner who would tell you that you are perfect, that you are amazing. In short, you would look for a partner who would love bomb you. No wonder narcissistic relationships are on the ascendance, and narcissism had become a gigantic global problem in romantic and intimate relationships, but also in the workplace, among friends, in church, extended family, you name it. People demand today, narcissistic supply, attention, the attention economy, social media, adoration, admiration, adulation, and absent these, they don't mind being notorious, being feared, being loathed, as long as it brings a modicum of daily dose of attention. So, mate selection nowadays is about scouting for and selecting for a partner, an intimate or romantic partner, who would become your audience, your greatest fan, someone who would not tell you the truth, who would not undermine and challenge your fantastic preconceptions and of yourself, someone who would collude in your shared fantasy, get integrated into it, a kind of people pleaser, codependent, but someone who would mirror you, someone who would not oppose you. So opposites don't attract anymore. Birds of feather flock together. Narcissists all around the world looking for narcissistic supply. They would tend to select for identical mates everywhere. Mates which are mere reflections, extensions of the narcissistic partner. Okay, what study am I talking about? There was an analysis of a meta-analysis of 200, a survey of 200 studies involving millions of couples. And the meta-analysis reached a conclusion that there is no grounds for assuming that opposites attract nowadays. Mind you, these studies are contemporaneous. They refer to the current picture, to the modern or postmodern society. They did not investigate relationships in the 19th century, for example. So, nowadays, opposites do not attract. On the very contrary, these studies found that most people are looking for someone who shares their values, their beliefs, a kind of confirmation bias, a thought silo. They want someone who would echo what they are thinking, someone who would not confront, not challenge, not undermine, not disagree, not criticize, not bring to the table new, countervailing, contradictory information. No, someone who would serve as a filter or a membrane to tell you, you're always right, you're amazingly intelligent, yes sir, a yes person, a people pleaser, codependent in many ways. These studies analyzed hundreds of traits, anything from political leanings to smoking to drinking to sex, and these studies found that the vast majority of modern partners are much more alike than they are different. Only in 3% of the traits, you heard well, 3% of the traits, people tended to pair with someone with an opposite or different inclination. This study was published in the journal Nature Human Behavior, a very prestigious one. So, in 97%, when it comes to 97% of the hundreds of traits listed, people were actively, adamantly, selectively choosing partners who would be compatible 100% with their traits, who would have the same indistinguishable traits. So people who would be mere internal objects, mere extensions, mirrors, not real people. You see, because when the person you live with is exactly like you, you're making love to yourself. This is autoerotism. Your relationship is actually with yourself via another person, by proxy. That other person becomes indistinguishable from you, an internal object to be manipulated at will. This is not a couple. This is not a dyad. This is not romantic. This is not intimate. There's no intimacy there, except the intimacy with yourself. You use the partner to look at the mirror and see yourself in all your glory, imperfection, and infallibility.